This is the second week we're talking about worship, which I'm just really excited about. It's just been an awesome experience for me. Last week I kind of got to share my story and how I got to experience worship growing up and going through different churches and different experiences and kind of just figuring out the heart of worship and the purpose of it and how we're called to just a complete vertical sense of God. I just want to pursue you with my whole heart, seeking after your heart. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care who's around me. I don't care about my personal preferences or comforts. I want to just seek you because you gave me everything. You gave me life. You gave me purpose. So we're going to continue with that. So we started with what is worship and discovering that. So this week I want to talk about the why we worship and who it is that we're worshiping. Because we can understand what it is, but to be honest with you, if I don't understand why, I'm probably not going to do it. I don't know if you're like me or not. So we're going to kind of talk about that, which is exciting. So before I get too distracted down any rabbit trails about why exactly it is, I just kind of want to go straight to the Bible to figure out what exactly worship is and how God describes it in a few different ways. So in Isaiah 43, 18 to 21, it says, "Remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness, and rivers in the desert. The wild beasts will honor me, the jackals and the ostriches, for I give water in the wilderness, rivers to the desert, to give drink to my chosen people, the people whom I formed for myself, that they might declare my praise." Which that's awesome. It's cool, like the analogies that he uses here. I love analogies. To me, it makes it a real concept to me because I don't quite get certain things sometimes. If you're like me and you're kind of ADD and you hear a comment and you see a flashing light. So I like an analogy that makes it a little bit more personal, a little more real. So I like how it's like, okay, well, rivers in the desert. I get that a desert's dry and rivers are kind of wet. So I guess he brings life and people die in the desert. And so okay, he's bringing life and he's bringing, okay, this is good. It's good stuff that he's bringing. And he's doing all these things for his people that he formed for himself that they might declare his praise. So essentially just right there we got to see that God created us for him. He does stuff for us because he loves us, but we are inevitably made for him, and we're made because we can praise him. So to get it out of the way, the why that we worship, it's we were created to worship. We were designed to bring God glory because of who he is, because of his omniscience. Is that correct? He's big and he knows everything. He's everywhere. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's he is the only thing worthy of worship. We are all just little human little beings, which some of us know and others. That's okay. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that God is always doing a new thing. It says, "I'm doing a new thing." Now it springs forth. That it's not something that we have to get bored of or that gets old. It's that God, he's a God of creation. He creates. He makes things new. He makes each one of us new. That's exciting. So he made us for the purpose of just loving him back for all the new things that he's doing in our lives. So you might not be buying it yet, where you're like, okay, well, I get that he kind of does some new stuff. I'm not really sure if he's done a whole lot of new things in my life, because my life kind of sucks, and I'm not really sure. I'm still not getting the why. It sucks sometimes, and I think we all experience it. We're trapped in these bodies of flesh. But we all want more joy, more peace, and you actually can have more of it when you press in and you fill up more with the Spirit. It literally, it can happen. So it's such an encouragement to hear these promises, to say, life gets better. I designed it this way. This is the way I want. When you live in a relationship with me in submission to just what I want for you, life is going to be easier. It's just going to be better. So just press into me, press into more intimacy. It's the same way like with marriage, going back to the previous analogy, it's the more time you carve out and spend. So if you're creating date nights with your spouse, if you're saying, you know what, we have a lot going on, but you know what, Friday night, no one else is robbing our time. We are going to spend time together because we need to pursue each other with intimacy, because that's what's going to keep this relationship strong and growing and keep our love flowing to and from each other. And it's the same thing. So it's just pressing in, because God actually, He fills us up back with this love, this exchange, this relationship. He actually gives back to us. So we shouldn't be focused on that. The purpose of worship, again, is for God, it's for His glory. But the wonderful thing is His promise is, you know what? You're going to receive. You're going to receive joy. You're going to receive pleasure from experiencing my presence. So I know not all of us have actually necessarily experienced that, like an overwhelming experience of God's presence where you're almost physically taken over, and not to be like over your drone or doing any weird things like that. I'm not going to start describing them, because if you've done them, I don't want you to feel insecure. However, there's some of us have felt it, and it's like when you experience God's presence in just an overpowering, almost tangible form, you're just like, wow, this is better than any physical stimulation that I have ever felt in my life. Like, I forgot where I was. I felt so at peace. I felt like I was right where I was designed to be. This was my purpose. I remember as a kid, people talked about heaven. They're like, well, heaven, you just get to worship Jesus all day long. Like, that sounds awful. Like, oh no, my arms are going to get so tired, and then I'm going to be like, oh, Mom, can we leave? And I don't know if I want to really go to heaven, because if hell is all the fun stuff I'm not allowed to do, maybe that's cooler. That's not true, by the way. None of that's actually true. The Bible says that it's not just that we get to work and do cool stuff in heaven too, but I digress. But the fact that worship actually, when you experience it, because I didn't experience it as a kid. I didn't get it. As you guys had to hear last week, I was reading along in a hymnal, trying to be excited that I was able to read it, first of all, but then like trying to figure out what line I was on, and then graduated to the projectors, and I'm like, I can't read that. She's putting marker on it now, and the tape is starting to get well weirded up. They didn't rewind it fast enough, and I was like, okay, I'm not experiencing God's presence yet. It's more so because my heart isn't aligned and ready, but I didn't quite get it yet. And I love the fact that I'm not going to say that I get it now, because I think it is a constant process of learning more about God, learning more about who He is, and going deeper into His presence the more that we go on in life. So I feel like I've just gotten to scratch the surface. I've gotten a taste of it, and even that taste is better than anything else I've experienced before. It is the best pleasure I have ever experienced before. And it's a lot to say. I've done stupid stuff before seeking God. I still do stupid stuff, let's be real. But we've had experiences where like, that was insane. I've been waiting for that for years. I never thought this was, oh my gosh. And it's like, well, until you understand what God's presence actually gives you, you think that's all life has to offer. And so I kind of have this analogy where it's like we kind of start here with our pleasure, meter, joy, peace, happiness. And when we chase the things of this world, it's, they feel good. People wouldn't do drugs if they didn't feel good. People wouldn't drink or have sex. People wouldn't do all the things that our flesh can distort and take too far out of the way God designed them to. They wouldn't do them if it didn't feel good. So it's not like a stupid thing. But so we start here, and it's like we got this neutral playing field, and we're like, whoa, if I could experience this pleasure all the way up here, oh my gosh, that would be insane. I wouldn't have to do anything else in life. I just want to keep doing that right there. And it's like, but when you get just a taste of what God's presence is like, it's like way up here, and you forget about all this. And it's like, well, are you kidding? Like, I would trade that level 1 pleasure, joy, peace for this level 10 any day of the week. And when you learn to pursue that level 10, that, wow, God is so much more for me, it's such an experience, and it's almost addicting, and it should be. I mean, I give you permission to be addicted to the presence of Jesus. I know we've got Celebrate Recovery going on, and it's an awesome thing. But if you're addicted to Jesus' presence, you don't have to go there. Okay? Okay, good. So it's just encouraging each other and just stepping into this experience of God's presence. And again, not for the sake of the pleasure, but we all need incentive. We're Americans. We want stuff quickly, and we want it to be about us. We want it to feel good, and if it's not, we don't want any part of it. So, not for the sake of feeling good, but I'm telling you right now, God promised us, seeking us feels good. So does that sound good to anybody? Yes? Yes. 2 yeses. Oh, this is bad. Okay, thank you. So we understand now, it's okay, well, we worship because we were created, it's our purpose. And when we do that, it feels incredible. It brings all the fruit, and our lives just get better. But I think we need to understand also who it is that we're worshiping, because it sounds like a great idea. And you're like, all right, I'm totally in. Give me the worship pleasure. I will take 2 doses of that. But then you're just like, okay, well, I don't know what I exactly do, and I guess it's to God, right? I think yes, to God or Jesus. I could say both. But I don't really know a whole lot about him. I don't know. I mean, this book that talks about it is really long and kind of boring in certain places, so I'm not really sure about that, and I don't know. So I want to kind of open up just the concept of who God is, because I think we get so busy that we don't chase after him a whole lot to just say, God, I want to know you more. Would you reveal yourself to me a little bit more? So here at Hill City Church, we are all about just experiencing more of God, learning more about God. Again, it's going to be a lifelong process where we're never going to even figure out half of who God is and what encompasses all of his being. But just starting this process of, all right, God, who really are you? And do we really fathom who this being, this existence, this invisible dude really is? And so I don't want you to get frustrated and just saying, I don't know. Because the beautiful thing is we have a couple really important tools and gifts that help us to know more. If someone says, I don't know much about God, to be honest with you, you're probably not looking that hard because he reveals himself through a lot of things. He gave us the Holy Spirit after Jesus rose again, and it's this still small voice that's constantly speaking, constantly revealing himself to us. In Romans 1:20-22, it says, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, has been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God, nor gave thanks to him. But their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools." And I'm very guilty of that a lot of times. But it's incredible to see that God's invisible qualities through nature, through life, I mean, he reveals himself in so many ways, and all we have to do is open our eyes to an awareness of that, and then he starts just flooding in. So actually, Phil, our Keywords of the Worship team, sent us a video a few weeks back that really was a powerful video that starts to just explore actually the science through creation and through some of these things where God says he reveals himself, these invisible qualities. And it was just incredibly powerful. It blew me away. It taught me things I didn't even know. And I love, because I'm just a very logical, German-brained person where it's like, I gotta figure stuff out, I gotta see facts. And I'm sure Pastor Clark, the same way, as a scientist, as a surgeon, it's like, okay, we need to see stuff. So I love getting to see science in all of its beauty, where it's like, the more that you learn, the less you know. And you're like, whoa, that is insane. And which is incredible about just God's power and His goodness. So I just want to quick watch this video. It just talks about just two of the things. If you want to see the entire video, let me know. I can get you a link to it. It's a little over an hour, but it talks about a ton of things that are just bursting forth of God's glory through creation, through this world that we are given, that helps expose more of who He is. So we're going to roll this video if you just take a look at this.
Well, one of the things in creation that I think really exhibits God's power is the power released in stars. The sun, it releases more energy in 1 second than 1 billion major cities on the earth, if there were 1 billion, would produce in a year. And that's just released in 1 second. You can imagine that. And of course, there are stars that are even more powerful than the sun. And just imagine all that power, all those stars, billions of stars in our own galaxy, billions of stars in other galaxies. And yet the Bible describes the creation of all that energy, all that power with the single phrase, He made the stars also. Well, it's estimated that there are over 100 billion stars in our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. It's estimated that there are over 100 billion galaxies in the universe. The Bible tells us that as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are God's ways above our ways, and His thoughts above our thoughts. So chew on that for a little bit. Think about how big the universe is compared to the earth, which is just the head of a pin by comparison.
Thousands of years ago, God asked Job, "Have you entered the treasury of snow?" Now, no man living at that time could have known fully about the treasures of the snow. But with the advent of the microscope, these elaborate crystals can now be wholly appreciated. These are actual snow crystals that have reached Earth intact. Every day, trillions of God's transparent treasures fall to Earth for our discovery and joy. And yet, no two are exactly alike.
I believe that God built this hexagonal shape into the individual water molecule because of the way they have to fit together. They form this hexagonal shape as they add on molecules and grow outward. And each individual ice crystal is made up of literally millions of water molecules, and although they fit together in a particular way, as they grow outward, the ice crystals falling down through the cloud at different temperatures, they begin to get different shapes. So every ice crystal is going to be slightly different than every other one. There's two things about ice crystals that just really excite me. One is literally the beauty. You look at them and you see all these patterns with these flat faces and the structure that's there. There's over 100 different basic types of ice crystals. It's just the beauty of it. And that tells me something about God. It tells me that God loves beauty, and He loves me because He provided this beauty to look at. So it resonates with me. The other is the way in which the ice crystals are ordered, the way in which the individual molecules fit together. That fits a particular consistent pattern time and time again, tells me that God has designed it.
Isn't that incredible? This is the stuff that we don't think about. I mean, we've got jobs, we've got stuff that's going on all the time. And in this area, we tend to get a lot more snow than we actually want, so we get kind of pissed off by it. Like, are you kidding with me? I can't get to work. And, well, kids love it because it's school and snow days. But it's like when we actually get to step back and have to focus on for ourselves, it's like, whoa, God is revealing Himself. Trillions, which is 1,000 billion, if anyone didn't know that. It's a lot, a whole lot. They fall every day. Not one of them has been the same. That's insane. It's a tiny little speck of frozen water, and it's that much beauty when you put it under a magnifying glass, or whatever you use. Something makes it bigger, you can see it. And when you take a look at it, its closeness, it's like God created these stars and galaxies, billions of these stars. It's unbelievable. We only have one star in our solar system that gives us all of our life and warmth. And there's billions of them. So He has this vastness, which blows your mind past what you can comprehend. We don't understand that. It's too big of a number, too big of space and size. Yet then He goes down to this tiny little snowflake, and He has that much care and love and creativity. There's no reason. If you want to talk natural selection and evolution, there's zero reasons for that. There's no reason why that much beauty to come out of a little snowflake when you just look at it more closely. It's just because He loves us. It's just His creativity and His just grandeur. It's amazing. So as the band comes back up, we're going to play a couple more songs for you guys, which is going to be just a bit more of a softer, kind of reflective songs. But I really want us to kind of focus on who God is to you. He has his attributes and his character is all over scriptures, and it's all over our creation, it's all over our universe. His invisible qualities are made known. We all are aware of them. And again, we're not all going to know all of them. We're not all going to see them. We're never going to. Some maybe will have experienced more than others. Some may have not. But as we play these last few songs, I want you to just focus on the attributes that he is to you. Maybe just the attributes he's been to you this week. Where you just say, God, you were faithful this week. When I was stressed out, when I was overwhelmed, you came through and you were just faithful to me. Or, God, you were merciful. Like, I screwed up. I should not have done that. And then guess what? You came through. You gave me grace. You gave me mercy. You provided. I didn't know how I was going to pay that bill, and the money showed up. Or something just worked out, and I had it, and you provided. So with all of his goodness, with all of his qualities, I want you to just to focus on those. And as we sing, if you guys would just stand with us, we're going to start to play. And I want you to just close your eyes and start to think of the qualities that he is to you. I want it to be personal. Again, this is an intimate thing. This is a thing that we get to experience with a God that has been loving and pursuing us our entire life. So I want it to be personal. I want you to think of the ways that he's revealed himself to you. And if he hasn't, this is a new experience for you, and you haven't been, this is the first time in church ever, and you're like, I don't understand this worship crap you're talking about, I don't get it. But if you just ask God, say, hey, would you reveal yourself to me? Like, I don't really know you yet, and if I know you, I don't know much about you, but God, would you just reveal yourself more? I want to know more about you. I want to experience more of you. I want to fill up more of your spirit in my tank so this flesh stops just taking and stealing from my life. So we just ask him, just as we play. And if you already know some of these attributes, would you just speak them into the air? And I'm not asking you to get super weird. You don't have to scream them. But there's power in words. There really is. And just releasing them, letting them resonate through your vocal cords out into open air, where we're actually just saying, God, you were faithful to me. God, you love me. You are graceful. You are mighty. You are justice. When we get to just speak these things out, it starts this process of just a physical action of intimacy and love to him. So if you would just close your eyes and start to think those things, kind of get yourself into an intimate place where you can just seek God, seek his face,